My name is Nicole I was born in California, San Francisco. Left when I was 6 months old. Moved out to Connecticut with my family. Nope, New York first and then Connecticut. My mom's whole family is actually from the city, New York City. We're a bunch of guineas. My father left my family, abandoned, walked out on us for alcohol, drugs, adultery, a lot of nasty things. I don't have good memories, excuse me. But he left, and my mom was left raising myself and my brother, and she did what she could do. It was not easy. It was not fun. I grew up resenting my mother as a result. And I had a lot of growing to do before I came to a place where I could appreciate her for who she was and what she did. Anyway, fast forward many years, many experiences. In 2007, I made a pen pal, and my pen pal and I ended up coming to the point where we realized that we were going to be together forever. I was praying on my end, he was praying on his end, and God just did a miraculous thing. You don't talk to people. Alright, I'm gonna say this flat out. If my son was to say, hey, I think I'm gonna marry this girl that I've been talking to in letters for 2 months, and that's just gonna be the end of that, whether or not you like it, I wouldn't be thrilled. Okay, maybe with my perspective now, I'd pray about it and not completely turn it off, as a possibility. But I understand the fear that it put into people's minds, and still to this day, some of my friends say, oh, are you still married? Well, yes, we're still married, and we're going strong, and things are incredible in different ways than I can express. My husband, Nicholas, on his second deployment to Iraq, a week after we were married, made it through his deployment until an incident happened when he was medically evacuated. I'm not going to say he was medevaced yet, that's jumping ahead. He was found by his unit separated. They found him praying in Arabic in a canal. I don't know how they found him and how far off the track they had gone to hear some guy praying in Arabic, or how loud he was praying, or what. I don't know any of it. I know that my husband lost all his memory, broke down, couldn't remember anything. He knew that there was a God, and he knew that he was married because he was wearing a ring. That was it. Did not know who he was, did not know where he was, did not know why he was where he was. A bunch of psych evaluations took place, and they deemed him as a combat stress and not fit for service. They quarantined him at headquarters, and that was the beginning of a long journey of pain and suffering and despair. And God grew us both a lot as a result. I have made more mistakes than I would like to share, but I will share them when people ask me. I can't speak for every veteran. I can speak for my husband, who ended up being medically discharged with severe PTSD and a TBI. He had a massive blood clot in his brain that they could not operate on. It would have killed him. And even with not operating, he stood a 20% chance of living due to the size and the location of the blood clot. He came back from Iraq. Actually, I had a dream that summer while he was deployed that he was coming back in November, and that is exactly when he came back. God does speak to me through dreams, and yes, God does speak to me. For any of you who are atheists or unsure of this, ask me about my relationship with God. Ask me. I would love to tell you about it. I would love to. And I'm not going to beef it up, and I'm not going to spice it up, and I'm not going to say, oh, hail God because, he makes me happy. It's not a happy road. Christianity is not about happiness. Christianity is about godliness. Christianity is about being like Christ. Christianity is about partaking in his suffering so that we may receive the glory that God is due. And he delights in us when we delight in him. And that's amazing. No one else deserves praise like Jesus does. Anyway, I'm not a preacher. I am not pretending to be. I am not a feminist. I am none of that stuff. I am fully content being the woman that God wants me to be, because it's a much bigger challenge than people think it is. It's incredible. And it's a call worthy of chasing after. I'll say it that way. It's an honor. Oops. They're not coming for me. They're not coming for anyone in my house. We live on an intersection. We hear this all the time. So my husband came back, and I met him in California, and I was terrified. And he was so drugged up on different narcotics, controlled substances, that he could not talk. 12 different pills. In and out of hospitals every day. I felt like I was babysitting, and I definitely had my moments of thinking, where did my husband go? And where's the man that I married? Because he's not here. And I thought, maybe this really is him, and I just didn't know him well enough because, you think you know somebody and then they go off to Iraq and they're just a different person, but maybe, since he'd already been to Iraq once, maybe I was just learning more about him, and this is how he came back when he was coming back from Iraq. Well, minus all the stuff. Anyway, doctor appointments, neurology appointments, physicals, EKGs, EEGs, MRIs, in and out of the hospital, blackouts, migraines, puking, incoherency, slurring words, dizziness, bowel problems, couldn't finish a sentence that he'd start, short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss, the tics, the shakes, not a laughing matter at all. Night sweats, helplessness, isolation, fear, anxiety, oppression, depression, anger outbursts. Gosh, we had them all. We dealt with them all. God, okay? God, us. God, us. I can't stress this enough. I think I need to adjust the camera because I'm kind of squinting down. And I'm short as it is. Okay. And so there we were, trying to cooperate with each other and trying to learn what to do, and he's wanting to go back more than anything to Iraq and finish off his deployment. The base was empty. What do you do in Camp Pendleton when everybody's gone? Everyone's deployed, and we're just, driving around this ghost town. My first time on Pendleton, I never knew what was going on. No idea. I became a military wife, and it was like, my KB called a couple times, "Hi, just calling to say that at 2:30 in the morning some people were injured, but your husband's fine. Thanks for the call. Now I know how to pray, but thank you also for scaring the living daylights out of me. You want to build a prayer life? Stick with your husband. Watch him through deployment. Better yet, especially if he's infantry or EOD or anything like that." My husband did some intelligence work too, different stuff. His MOS was 0311. He's grunt, Marine Corps. Hoorah. Trust me, I love the Marine Corps. We miss it terribly. Anyway, they had him on a med board for a year. No one solved anything. They pretty much were like, boop, there's your butt. Off you go. We don't know what to do with you. We'll give you some compensation. You can hook up with the VA. We got up to Idaho, which is where his family is, and no rest for the weary. After we got up here, Mama had a baby. Mama had the baby we've got now. And God worked amazing ways for our son to be born, but that was a crazy delivery. Yeah, that's another story. My husband was battling depression, didn't want to be there. I didn't know how to support my husband, and we were living in his parents' house. Bless them for opening their houses to us, but holy cow, it was not a happy situation. Just so much stress. Gosh, so much stress. My husband couldn't get a job. No one wanted to hire anyone with PTSD. Still no one wants to hire anyone with PTSD. You get out of the military, you've got PTSD, you show symptoms in real life, people are like, next. They don't want you. They don't want you. It's terrible. I know that there are companies out there that are working to help vets get jobs, and, like, you're awesome. They don't have that where we are at all, but in the places you have it, cool. That's good. Keep going, because they need it. They need all the support they can get. Wives also need to raise up and support their husbands the way they possibly can. Okay, so flash forward, we're living in his parents' house. Let me see how much time I have on here going. 8:47. Okay, I'm going to pause and start again. Okay, pause.